Abigail of Ground and Grow Yoga, and today on Return to Basics we're looking at standing forward fold and wide leg standing forward fold. Hop on your mat and let's get started. Traditionally for standing forward fold, our feet are together, legs are nice and straight. We're usually doing this in our sun salutation progression. And so the arms are up, and either the arms are coming out to the side or the arms are coming down through the middle to come down into the posture. And when we come down, our legs are still completely straight, and we have our arms either behind the legs or on the legs here. And then when we come up, we keep the hand on either the mat or our feet, depending how long your arms are, and come to a flat back position. You'll notice that I have a very difficult time maintaining that flat back because my arm to leg ratio doesn't work that way, so it might not work that way for you either. And the most common complaint is that the back of the legs are tight, that you can't reach anywhere near your toes, and that it hurts the hips or the stomach, or that you get lightheaded when you come up out of the posture. So a couple suggestions for that. The first being to put a blanket or a towel underneath your heels. So by having just this little bit of lift here, it's already shifting things forward slightly, and therefore it's easier to find that length in the back of the legs. My other suggestion for most people is going to be to micro bend the knees or even fully bend the knees. If the point of the posture is to stretch the back of the legs, if that is why you're doing the posture, then you're going to want to try to have the legs straight, but you might not come down all the way because you don't want to pull any muscles. If the point of the posture is to have an inversion, meaning that your head is lower than your heart, so you want to get your head all the way down there, bending the knees and allowing yourself to drape over here, we are getting that inversion, but I don't have the strain in the back of the legs. I also, in all these variations, have my feet more hip width apart than together, just because it's more comfortable on my hips and I feel like I can get into the posture more smoothly. The other thing to keep in mind is that many people, when they first start doing yoga or stretching, try to just reach for the toes immediately, so they're rounding from here, and you're actually not allowing yourself to get down as far because you're hinging at your waist and just rounding the back. If you come up, put your hands right where your hip bones are and fold out and over that, you're able to come down a lot further because you aren't bending from a place that doesn't bend as much. You're bending from your hips, and so you're coming all the way down that way. If you cannot reach the mat, this is a great place for your blocks because blocks can be on multiple heights, and therefore you can use your block to help you here. Another great use for the block is when we come up into that half lift where we're coming up with a flat back. Having the blocks accessible here means when I come up and I want to have that flat back position, I can focus on drawing the navel in, I can focus on the shoulders and trying to have my back be as straight as possible, as opposed to just kind of hovering here and hoping I get to the right height. Like I said, I absolutely cannot leave my hands on the ground and get a flat back because it's just not possible. But by having the blocks here, I could have the legs completely straight, and then I can gauge on the blocks where I need to be to have my back be flat. So there's some variations that you can do while actually still doing a standing forward fold. The other option is that if you are doing this as more restorative, or if you're doing this in your chair to begin with, allowing the legs to either come all the way together here, hinging from the hips, compressing the belly, and rounding over this way. Or I prefer having the legs be out wide so I can come up and kind of dangle in between here and get that real relaxed feel in the low back. We're going to see this as closer to our wide leg forward fold, which we'll be doing in a second. But it allows you to really relax the low back and get kind of that deeper inversion while still sitting in a chair. Make sure that you come up out of things slowly. That's what's going to help most with your dizziness from coming up and down. And if you are pregnant or have a heart condition, you might just want to stay away from inversions altogether. Especially if you're new to yoga, I would suggest not doing inversions, particularly in the middle of the room, but instead to use a chair to try inversions for the first time, or be standing next to a wall to allow yourself to have that support and not be coming up and down just in the middle of the room where you could fall over and hurt yourself. So keep that in mind. So chair can be used for wide leg forward fold, as I showed a minute ago. Wide leg forward fold, traditionally, the feet are facing the long edge of the mat. The toes are pointed there. You're pressing your weight actively into the edges of the feet, but then also sucking up through the center of your mat. So I'm sending energy out, and I'm really lifting up as if I was being pulled up towards the ceiling in the middle. And traditionally here, we would also be coming from having the arms up, and we just come forward slowly, and hands would be walked back to be in line with the legs. So I can't quite walk my hands all the way in line with the legs and still have it feel good for my low back, but that is what it traditionally is going to look like. Some of the modifications you can do here, first, are to have your feet out slightly as if we were coming from goddess pose, but have them out slightly, and that kind of changes your center of balance here. That can help maybe with bringing the hands towards the mat. The other thing is bending the knees. That's why I like to have the toes out for this. If I still had my feet this way and then I bended my knees, then it would be kind of awkward on my legs here, and I'd worry about my knees coming in towards each other. So that's why the suggestion to have the feet out if you are going to bend your knees to fold forward. The other suggestion is one from before, which is to keep the legs how they traditionally would be, but have the blocks here in front. And therefore, by having the blocks here, I can really press in. I can get that strong stretch in the legs, but I have the support here, and I'm able to work on moving towards the mat by slowly bringing the blocks down as I'm able to reach towards the mat. And the other thing I want people to keep in mind is that you might be able to come all the way down into a posture in one class and then not in another. Or at the beginning of class, you'll feel very tight and not be able to come all the way down. Don't push it. As the muscles warm up, as you get into the practice, you might notice those things coming a little easier. The other thing that I often do just for feeling more comfortable with the folding forward is bringing my hands to my hips here, because it allows me to control my descent And then sometimes I'll walk my feet out after I'm already down here. So I'm coming from a much closer position, coming halfway, coming all the way down, and then walking the feet out. That might make you feel a little less secure, so keep in mind what's comfortable for you. And then always coming out of the poses mindfully. I hope that helped. If you enjoyed this video, check out the rest of my Return to Basics series. Also make sure you're subscribed so you know when a new video comes out. And leave a comment below if there's a particular type of yoga pose or breathing exercise that you are interested in learning more about. Remember to keep grounding down into your strengths and growing as an individual. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.